In this video, I want to look at the 26 future trends that will transform every business over the next decade. I'm a futurist. I help companies understand future trends and prepare for them. And I've just written a book called Business Trends in Practice. And in this book, I outline all of these 25 plus trends. So what I want to do in this video is to summarize them. And I want to break them up into 5 global shifts. Then there are 10 tech mega trends that will transform our world. Then there are 8 consumer trends that will change what consumers are interested in. And then there are 8 trends that mean the businesses need to rethink how they are operating. So for me, these are amazing opportunities, but they offer also huge threats to organizations, because if we are not ready for them, that can be a real challenge. For more on those, subscribe to my channel, where you can find a lot more videos where I go into much further depth into each of these trends. So let's start with the 5 global shifts. The first one is that the relationship between us and our planet is changing. People are now much more aware of climate change, the pollution we are causing, and how we have exploited our planet over the last few decades. So this is changing, and we need to really tackle this. So this environmental consciousness in our organizations is really happening. Another key global shift that we're seeing is the shift in economic and political power, with countries like India, China, Africa really rising up. And we are already seeing this, that there's more tension between China and the US, for example, with developing around a tech war. Another key shift that we're seeing is a growing divergence. So we have seen this with Trump being elected, with Brexit, and a lot of this is fueled by social media, by an increasing divergence and polarization of the world. So we need to watch out for this. And then we're seeing demographic shifts as well. So we will have more people in the world. People are growing older. We have a bigger middle class and more mega cities and more migration. So this offers real challenges and opportunities for organizations. Another key shift is this social and cultural shifts that we're seeing. So we're seeing a new generation challenging norms of work, for example. We're seeing increasing diversity, a real drive for more inclusion, and a drive for meaning of life and work, where people question much more what are they doing with their life, so as new generations enter the workspace. So they are some of the key global shifts that will impact every organization. The other thing that will happen is that we'll have technology as a huge driver for change and disruption and transformation. The first one is ubiquitous computing, where we now have computing power everywhere. We've had this exponential growth of computing power now for many decades, and this is continuing with the adoption of cloud computing, with the rollout of 5G networks. So we'll have faster networks, and even things on the horizon like quantum computing that can give us computing power that could be 1 trillion times more powerful than what we have today. And this will all be available via the cloud, via networks. So this will boost computing power and really helps to reimagine what organizations do with all of this computing power. One thing that will enable us to do is to have more connected and smart devices. So it's not just phones and smart TVs and more intelligent cars, but also more intelligent robots that will enter our home lives and our work lives. With all of this new technology comes data. Data has become such an important enabler. So all these intelligent systems are able to collect and transmit and generate data. And this data is now a hugely valuable business asset for every organization. Which takes me to the next trend, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning, which I believe is probably the most important, powerful technology trends of them all. So we can now use some of the things I talked about before, the computing power, all of this data, and all of them feed into these AIs that are now helping us to do things we couldn't do before. They give us processing power that is far beyond anything people can do, but they are also now becoming creative. They can have machine vision, they have natural language processing, they understand what we are saying, they can speak back to us and have a conversation with us. And increasingly, this will be available in a no-code environment. So any business, anyone in a business will be able to use AI without necessarily having any coding skills in the future. Another big trend is extended reality. What we are seeing now is that more and more companies like Microsoft and Nvidia and Facebook are talking about this metaverse, so this consistent digital world where you can have an avatar moving from maybe a video game into a shopping experience, into watching a concert and so on. So this whole world of augmented and virtual reality is going to explode and offer huge new opportunities to businesses. Another big trend is around blockchain and distributed ledger technology. This is not just Bitcoin and digital currencies, but it will give us things like smart contracts, ownership verification, and many other things like non-fungible tokens. Another big technology transformation will happen via 3D printing. This is reimagining how we produce our goods. So in the past, it was all mass-produced. We gave the same things. We had completely different ways of producing things. With 3D printing, we put things on layer by layer, so it allows us to create completely different shapes that traditional manufacturing can't produce, and it means we can mass produce customized pieces, because whatever you print in one run, the next run can be something completely different. And nowadays we can 3D print concrete, chocolates, food, metal, aluminium, anything you can imagine, composite materials even, which will mean it will completely transform this. We're seeing this already happening with companies like Adidas 3D printing trainers, for example. And then another key technology trend is genomics and synthetic biology. We are already able to modify crops. We use genomics and gene editing to cure and eradicate diseases. This will see a huge boost over the next 10 years or so. And we will potentially even reimagine our own bodies and what it means to be human. Very closely linked to this is nanotechnology and material science, where we look at the nanoscale and we are able to manipulate materials to give them completely new attributes. And so, for example, we can create bendable screens, and we can have much better battery lives, or we can have self-healing and repairing paint and other amazing innovations. And then my last technology trend is finding new energy solutions. So there's a big focus now on finding greener, more sustainable energy for our planet, and we're seeing huge advances in nuclear fusion, for example, and green hydrogen, which are promising us to give us sustainable green energy and are able to power our world in the future. So these are some of the key trends I'm seeing in technology. And then we are seeing that there is a shift in what businesses offer, basically. We need to think about, okay, this changes consumer demand. So we need to rethink what we are offering, how we are offering our products and services. So the first one here is that we are seeing this channel digitization and expansion. Every business has to now be an omni-channel business. And there's so many great examples where Wild Turkey, for example, now offers an Alexa whiskey tasting, for example, or apps or even super apps are making a big impact. Starbucks is a company that has really developed useful apps to engage with their customers on different levels. Another key trend is that we will see this cognification of our products and services. What this basically means is we're bringing AI and machine learning to our products and services. Good example is Netflix, that uses AI to monitor what we like and then give us more of this. Or we now have cars that are increasingly autonomous and monitor the world around us and make our driving safer. Another key trend is a move towards right time, right place, and right for you. So personalization, or what Google calls micro moments, where search results are customized to a specific time when we want it. So we're getting everything more personalized, more customized at the right time, useful for us. Another key trend is a move towards a subscription model or a servitization. Companies like Apple, for example, have now more and more services with Apple Fitness, their news, their arcade, and so on. Even ownership of traditional things like cars and phones will increasingly move to a subscription model, where we basically simply subscribe to having a mobility solution rather than owning a car that sits on our drive and we don't use it for 90% of the time. We will also see a big trend towards cutting the middleman, or what we call disintermediation. So companies like Nike and L'Oreal are finding a really good balance between selling their products through retailers but also directly to consumers, which gives them a much more closer customer relationship and also gives them much more understanding of what customers like, and therefore more data. We will also see a big trend and a move from B2C, so business to consumer, to all. So this sharing economy is continuing to explode, and we call C2C, so consumer to consumer. And companies like Airbnb and GitHub are great examples of this. And then we will see more immersive experiences. So we are now pushing towards this experience economy. Lots of millennials actually value experiences much more than anything else, and ownership of something. So this is something that will continue to happen. And this both includes tangible experiences, like going to a real concert, as well as virtual experiences. And I feel that this immersive experience will merge between the tangible and the virtual increasingly in the future. And another key consumer trend is conscious consumption, so the awareness of the environmental impact, the carbon footprint of things, the food miles that our food has traveled before we buy it. All of this is becoming increasingly important. So companies need to make sure that they have the offering and meet the customers where they want to be in the future. And then my final trends look at how we need to reimagine how we are running our business. And the first one is that we need to make our businesses more sustainable and resilient. So not just our product, but also how we produce things. Looking at the social costs and environmental costs of running a company. Another key trend is that now with all of these intelligent cobots and intelligent machines and automatic process automation, what businesses need to do is they need to find the balance between humans and intelligent cobots, so co-working robots. We now have already got the ability to create completely dark factories that operate without any humans in it. We're seeing increasing white-collar work automation. And what all these things will do is they will augment our workplace. So companies need to make sure they find the right jobs for the humans so they can get the best out of humans and the best out of machines and make humans happy in their working environment. And this brings me to the next one, which is finding and keeping talent. We have now seen this transition to working from home. It is really important that people in the future have the right skill set, and skills are changing completely. We will have very different needs in the future in our businesses in terms of skills. So we need to make sure we continuously train people, but also we manage performance and give people a fulfilling job that they love. So getting this balance right is a really tricky way for organizations to get this right. And then we need to organize our firms differently, organizing to win. And that means moving from a hierarchical to a much flatter, more agile organizational structure. So much more dynamic teams where people work in gigs, where we bring in and out outside talent into the organization. So to make the organizational boundaries more porous. And then another key trend is authenticity. So what businesses and leaders and brands all need to do is be true to themselves and taking a stance for the things that they believe in. And this will become increasingly important. People will look for brands that are authentic, for leaders that are authentic, and they are seeking places where they themselves can be authentic. Another key trend is being a purposeful business. So really looking beyond profits and thinking about how we generate and help our world to become a better place. And this will become increasingly important, that businesses actually understand and position themselves in a way that creates a better future. Another key trend I'm seeing is this increasing co-opetition and integration. So co-opetition is a mix between cooperation and competition. And what we're seeing is that increasingly, even competitors in the automotive industry, for example, BMW and VW, are now working together on new electric vehicle solutions because the challenge is so big that even competitors need to work together. And we're seeing a need for further integration of supply chain, integration of IT systems, better data exchanges. And then finally, we need to look at new forms of funding. Traditionally, business had IPOs, they got loans to operate. In the future, we have completely new ways to invest into our businesses to generate funding, crowdsourcing, tokenization. All of these will completely transform our businesses. Hopefully this has given you a sense for what is happening. As I said, there's a lot more out there on my YouTube channel, so don't forget to subscribe and check out my new book, Business Trends in Practice, in which I go into a lot more detail on all of those key trends.